Regardez-moi. Merci de m'applaudir comme ça. Je suis extrêmement touché par votre accueil, votre impatience surtout, et l'idée que vous vous faites d'un rendez-vous avec moi. Mais ce ne sera pas avec moi. D'abord, pour mener ce rendez-vous, et c'est important aussi, parce que d'abord, il est le correspondant du festival à Los Angeles. On travaille là-bas ensemble quand je vais en Californie pour ramener Elvis ou Top Gun ou le film de James Gray et toutes ces belles choses que le cinéma américain continue de produire. Et puis, vous le voyez à la télévision sur Canal+, il vit là-bas et il anime aussi ses masterclass. Merci d'accueillir Didier Alouche. Et je ne sais pas si ça sert à grand-chose que je vous dise qui est Mads Mikkelsen, à part sa carrière que vous connaissez, je dirais deux choses. D'abord, que c'est un cycliste. Donc Didier, il faudra poser des questions là-dessus. Parce que c'est lui qui m'a donné parce que moi aussi je suis cycliste, un jour il m'a donné un conseil, je devais acheter un vélo, et il m'a dit, prends un vélo rouge, ils vont plus vite. Et la deuxième chose, c'est que c'est un homme absolument merveilleux. On essaie par tous les moyens, par des films, il était au jury. Même son manager Ulrich est un homme extraordinaire. Ulrich, l'agent de...
The agent of Mads Mikkelsen.
Donc Mads est un homme merveilleux, extraordinaire. Maintenant, il est temps de l'accueillir. Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads Mikkelsen.
That was the applause before. So you have to be good if you want to get the same kind of reception after.
Oui, c'est ça.
Oui.
On y va.
On y va.
Okay, first, before we start, it will be in English, so if you need translation, grab your headphones. Ça va, Matt?
Oui, ça va.
Always...
C'est Cannes. Oh mon Dieu.
On adore vous avoir à Cannes. We love
Oui.
to have you here.
C'est quelque chose.
It's always a pleasure. Okay, I'm not going to do movie by movie. It's tedious. I know talents don't like that. But I'm going to start with something. Please be with me. It's a little stunt here.
Selfie?
No. No. All right. Let's try this. Bear with me, guys. Okay.
What a life, what a night, what a beautiful, beautiful ride.
If I do that, it's not because I love this movie and I love this song and I love the classical scenes that you're dancing on this tune, monsieur, in the film. It's because this movie was supposed to be here. 2 years ago, happened what happened. The festival was cancelled. So I really wanted to ask you this question in Cannes about this film, about this scene, about the dance scene.
Yeah.
How did that go? And tell us about how we shot and everything.
Well, the dance scene was in there from the beginning, and I hated it.
Really?
I thought it was wrong, and I thought it felt pretentious. It was a fairly realistic film, and it felt as if it was going. Oh, whoa! Let's try this instead. I felt it was going out of the concept a little. We discussed it a lot, back and forth, and then tragedy happened on the film, and so we did it. No more questions, and I was absolutely wrong. It was the best ending of any film, but I was also wrong when we did The Hunt. I wanted a different ending as well. So I'm always wrong. Thomas is right. I'm wrong. No, it was a beautiful day. I used to be a dancer, But that was 30 years ago, so I didn't train for it. I just went for it, and I felt very, very old. But it was great.
It's great because this scene means a lot of things, and it took another meaning at the time we saw it. We were just in the middle of COVID, and we saw this movie. This movie had no luck in terms of distribution, since it was, I think it was released in France 4 days between the opening and the closing of the cinema. But this scene was like, it meant a lot of things. It said, yeah, let it go. It's gonna come back. Let it go. We have to deal with the stuff. This character deals with the stuff, and we have to deal with the stuff that was happening to us. Did you see that? Did you see this kind of? Did you get this kind of comment?
We were a little nervous when we watched the film because the world was shut down. We were looking at people drinking from the same bottle. People were hugging each other, and it was kind of insane that within a year we were so used to that it was illegal. You know, it was. That was the crazy part, to be honest. So we were afraid that it would turn people off. But the opposite happened. People wanted to see life. They wanted to see people celebrating life. So it was a success, but we were nervous it would go the other way.
Yeah, the least we can say. As I said before, this scene is a classic, monsieur. I went back to early career. I rewatched some movies. I read some interviews and stuff like that. And it's very hard to find a common point to all your characters. I mean, you're an actor, so you have to do very different things all the time. If I may say something, is that whatever the character is, if it's Michael Collas, if it's Tony in Pusher, if it's Le Chiffre in James Bond, what you're looking for, it's always, correct me if I'm wrong, or if this is all BS, and I have no problem if you say so, you're always looking for the inner truth of the character. You're always looking for something that connects us with what you're playing. It's easy, well, kind of easy when it's Michael Collas, more difficult when it's Le Chiffre. How do you get that? First of all, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I would 2 points for you. I could say a humanity in the character. We need to somehow relate to a character. You need to at least be able to, like, far in the distance, see some humanity. And you're right. I played a character called Hannibal Lecter. It might be a little difficult to sympathize with him, but for some funny reason you do, because it's an upside down humanity, but it's there. And I think you have to do that with all your parts. Even when you play, obviously, let's say the normal guy, the good guy, you have to find his humanity, which is obviously his flaws, his mistakes. I think we're always trying to look for that as actors.
Hannibal Lecter has flaws? No. Okay.
What was that?
Hannibal Lecter, he has flaws?
No, I don't think he has, actually. No.
I also found in an interview with you that you always find, you always try to find the complexity of the character. Is this different? Is it something that, would you say that it's the same thing with the flows?
Yeah, I think it's the same. I mean, we can say it in different ways. Obviously, if you play the bad guy and you only have this much screen time, there's kind of a limit how much complexity you can find, right? But I mean, if it's well written, you know when the bad guy tells the big monologue of how he's going to take over the world, it has to ring a bell. It has to make sense. There has to be a little of, you know what, you got a point. I kind of like you. You know, it has to be like that. If not, it's just a lunatic, and we don't care.
Is it always easy to find?
Yeah. No, it's not. I mean, obviously, sometimes you find it in characters that are absolutely horrible, and then you have to defend why you did it. But some characters are easier than others, of course. Yeah.
We were talking about the dance before, and we know that you did 10 years of professional career as a dancer. Do you use it sometimes? I mean, not only in terms of dancing scene, but yeah. Will he make it? Yeah, he made it, yeah!
No, I don't use it. Can you hear me?
It's better with a mic.
Adios, amigo. I don't use it.
Matt, I'm sorry, but it's recording.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's back. I'm back on.
Désolé.
No, I don't dance. I mean, I've never been. I loved performing as a dancer. I loved doing that. But I was never like a big dancer going out, you know, listening to music and dancing. I don't know why. But so dancing is I'm waiting for the next film. That will be the next time I dance. Oh, and the next film that wants me to dance.
And more than dancing itself, I was talking about everything that you learned during your career as a dancer, and in terms of physicality, in terms of placement, in terms of playing with your body. You do that a lot. I mean, some movies, I'm thinking of Nicholas Winding Refn, Valhalla, you have to be very present in the shot. Some you have to be more fluid. And do you use your education as a dancer for that?
I'm sure I do. I don't think so much about it. I was also a gymnast as a kid. And obviously a gymnast background comes in handy when you do stunts. And the awareness of a room that might be the dancer. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure how it works. When I grew up, I was just a huge fan of two people on the big screen, and that was Bruce Lee, and it was Buster Keaton. And because they are both physical in an insane way, and also very poetic at the same time. They were like very contemporary actors in the sense that they invited the audience in here, as opposed to scream it out, right? So I think it's more that, and then I've just been a physical kid always, and so of course I use it somehow, but I don't think so much about it.
Like the most, is it when the director use your physicality? I mean, you take a lot of place in the frame, or when they ask you to be like on the other side, very discreet, and try to avoid that. What do you like more?
It's the same. I mean, it's the same. You have to be physical aware of what you're doing. Some characters are fast, some are slow, some are heavy, some are light, and I don't have to change my body to be more heavy or more light. It's about the energy you put into the character, right? None of them are super difficult or super easy. It's things are only really difficult when they don't work out. That's was it difficult to make this scene? And it's a scene that is powerful and people like it. It might not have been the most difficult scene you've done. There will be other scenes that nobody cares about, and that was super difficult because the scene was shit. It didn't work, So that's why it becomes difficult. Things that are well written and well directed can actually be quite easy to accomplish.
It's pretty funny because every actor says that. It says it comes from the word, it comes from the directing, and every director says, yeah, it's because of the actor. Who's right?
Oh, yeah, the director's right. It's because of us. No, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, you can also make it difficult yourself. But there are certain scenes that will impress other people, and it might not have been the worst day on your job. It might have been very easy that day, and other things that people don't care about was really difficult.
We're talking about Nicholas Winding Refn. He's a director who, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's a guy who directs you the most. How do you explain your relationship with him at the beginning of your career and then after that on Valhalla?
Nicholas? Yeah, well, we started out together. He did his first film. I did my first film. So we've been a married couple since then. And he has, of course, he's found another boyfriend. And that's how life goes. I mean, we will meet each other again eventually and do something. But I mean, I'm very proud of watching his career, and I'm very proud of been working with him from the beginning.
Pushers were incredible.
Yeah.
We're discovering you, we're discovering Nicholas, we're discovering a lot of people. We're discovering, as you said before, an energy that we've never seen before in these kind of movies. Tell us about this trilogy. And
Pusher was a weird film. Nicholas got through, the very difficult task of getting into the film school as an editor, I believe he was, and then all of a sudden he got some money, not a lot, to film this film, Pusher. And he got the option that if he wanted to shoot the film, the school would kick him out. And then he just said, well, fuck you, I'll shoot my film. So he rejected the film school, which was funny, of course, which everybody wants to go on a film school. And then, so it was a rock and roll project. Nicholas is kind of like, I don't know how to describe him. If you imagine some directors who live in a bathtub and plays with Lego, that's part of Nicholas, right? And so he's very detached from the world of drugs and gangs and streets. So he wanted to ally himself with a lot of people who were from there. And most of the people were real criminals, and then a few of us were actors, but we came from that area. And this is how Nicholas always works. So he's like, I know what I want to tell in this story, and you will help me to get it right. You know, and this is how he works a lot. So it was a crazy rock and roll project. We didn't really think too much of it. Something that we wanted to do is something that had been lacking, I believe, in Danish filmmaking. Absolutely never seen before. And we just felt like, yeah, this is great. We're doing it now, right? And then it turned out great. But so that kicked off a lot of things for us. And there were other groups doing fantastic things at the same time. Susanne Bier, Thomas Vinterberg, Lars von Trier. So all these gangs were just at the same time developing their own languages, hating each other, of course. But later on in life, they started working together as well.
You work with all of them, except
I did. Not Lars von Trier.
Not Lars, yeah.
No.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know why. I don't think he speaks Danish. I'm not sure.
I saw a very nice documentary about you that was on Arte, and where you going back to the place where you grew up in, and you talk. You are with your brother, and you walk the streets, and you talk about your childhood, and you talk about it's strange to see it's childhood. So whatever the difficulties were, the kids don't see that; they just see their life and as an adventure. But when you tell about that, when you tell about this life in this neighborhood, that wasn't an easy neighborhood, but was it not the worst either? It seems that it built you as an actor, as a man, of course, but also as an actor. Am I right?
Yeah, I think wherever you grow up is part of your life. And there is obviously a tendency to be very interesting if you come from a working class area. Oh, it's so intense, it's so interesting. It doesn't have to be. It's just where you grow up. You can have enormous amounts of problems growing up in a wealthier family. So it's not about that, but it defines you at least somehow, right? And I remember that time as absolutely beautiful and effortless time in my life. But I'm sure I'm also pushing out a lot of things. But no, the childhood was. I really remember it with a smile on my face because it was just a fairy tale. There was always a wall, something you could climb on. There was something behind that house, that street corner. It was just a Huckleberry Finn adventure for me. I remember it like that.
They decided to make a living out of it?
Yeah, climbing, yeah.
You said that Nicolas lost his place in the film school because of Pusher, but you almost lost your place in the theater school. Is that correct?
Yeah, because of Pusher. Yeah. I mean, we were not. I mean, there was one. The school in Copenhagen did allow people, actors, to shoot films in the summer vacation and stuff. My school did not allow it, so I asked, and they said you can't do it. Then I did it anyways. Then they kicked me out for 2 weeks and took me back in. It was a little clumsy, everything, but it was like their arguments were obviously insane. It was like, no, we want you. If you break your neck, we want you to happen in the school. And I was like, so okay, but in 4 months, when school is done, are you there for me? It's like, it didn't make any sense. So, no. So I think they were just really jealous that I did a film.
We have a lot of acting students in the room.
Yeah.
Is your advice do the same than I did?
I don't know. I mean, my advice is obviously for everything you can do with your friends or people your generation is worthwhile. I mean, right now everybody has their own cameras, and then go for it. You have a story, go for it, learn from it, do it now. What I think that happened in Denmark, the big boom in the 90s, the big change, was that the same generation was working together for once. Normally, you would always have an older man directing a lot of young people, telling them how life is when you're young, which is obviously insane. And a lot of these old directors were great. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it was a necessity that a generation was working together to get out of that straitjacket somehow. And that happened. And then everything exploded. And then since then, everybody can work together different generations. But work with your own friends and families, whatever. Try it out. Go for it, and you will learn from it. I think that's the best advice I can do. And if they kick you out of school, then cry a little, and they will take you back.
And make everything different. I mean, when I saw you in After the Wedding in Susan Biel's movie, I wasn't expecting you doing that. I was really surprised, and
in Susanne's film, After the Wedding.
After the Wedding,
you were surprised with
by what you do. I mean, I saw Pusher. I get
oh yeah, I get
it's
it.
very different.
That's because I'm an actor. I'm not that.
You are? Oh, but some actors do the same thing all the time. You know that. But do you try to?
No, that would be a short career playing Tony the rest of my life with a tattoo in my face. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Susanne and I found each other before that. We did a film called Open Hearts before that. And I loved working on that film, and we did another beautiful thing together After the Wedding. And yeah, all directors are different, but they all have the same poetic goal, you know, films that will touch you one way or the other, and directors approach it differently, right? So, yeah, what was your question about? Yeah, you were surprised.
Are you looking for the difference?
I'm not necessarily looking for a difference. I don't mind going down the same path twice in a row or 3 times or how much. If the film touches me, if there's something new we can say here, if there's something, a different angle on this, I don't mind it. If I just want to change, that can also be, can be dangerous. If you asking your director, well, you know what, I want to look like this and be like this in this film. It's like, but that's not the film. You got to understand what the film is about, and then you can do your little nuances in there. But if it's down the same path, and that's what it takes for this film to make sense, that's what you do. But yes, it was a very different character After the Wedding. I really enjoyed him. But they had something in common. They're kind of passive in their own life. You want to shake them both, like, do something, right? So that is probably a theme I've had in quite a few characters.
Did you see the US remake?
What's that?
Did you see the American remake of the film?
No. But I'm curious because it's a woman and she didn't realize she was pregnant or what? I don't know. There's a plot where my character has a baby and he's not aware that he's a father. So how is she not aware that she's a mother? It's complicated to me.
No, but they find a trick in the script.
I'm sure they did.
It's pretty well done. This is also, I want to talk about the other Danish character you worked with a lot, Thomas Winterberg. What he gave you in The Hunt is an incredible, complex and smart and very well written character. When you see that on the script, do you ask yourself, do you say, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it? Or do you ask yourself, how can I do it?
I didn't think any of those things. I was very touched by the script. Some scripts are super interesting and you can see possibilities in there. And a lot of scripts are not. Out they go. But then rarely you find one where you're just turning the page. And it's like, I went on the journey that we do when we watch the film. I was so frustrated reading the film. I mean, that this could happen. I wanted to punch something, but I didn't know who or what to punch. And that was the dilemma of the film. So was the immediate reaction I had when I read it. And then afterward, I was like, yeah, let's do this. I wasn't like afraid of how we're going to do it. No, I thought it was in there. We will find it.
Are you sometimes afraid of a part?
Yeah. Really? Not afraid. I mean, you obviously...
Intimidated?
Not by a part. Well, if somebody's done it before, let's say you do Hamlet, right? You do Hamlet, and last year somebody else did Hamlet. Everybody loved Hamlet. Okay, I'm going to do Hamlet now. Shit, right? But I'm not intimidated. But I can see challenges. If I believe this is absolutely right, this character is perfectly, but this will be very difficult for me. Then I need to obviously breathe in, breathe out, figure out whether I'm the right man or not. Will I take up the challenge? You can also turn it around and say, that exact thing I'm not good at. It's a very bad thing. It's very bad for the story. And you can try to remove it, right? But But you shouldn't do that. You should be honest to the story, and you take the challenge. And then once in a while, you have to say, you know what? I think it's someone else. It's someone else. Let's say someone who speaks fluently Russian and can play piano. Let him have it. You know.
That happened sometime. I mean, did you find yourself on the set having something to do, and you had a lot of difficulties to find a way to do it?
No, that will often be like disagreements of something. It's like we disagree on how to solve it, and the best way to do that is that the director gets his or her way, and then I get my way one shot or twice, and we'll look at it later. It's the best way to solve it. But if it's more existential, that it is the entire film, I saw it different than he did, and oh my God, now we're here standing, what are we going to do? That would be very difficult. But I've never been in that situation, because I've always made sure that we knew each other well, and we were on the same page when we start the film. That doesn't mean that we don't disagree down the path, that's fine. But at least we're in general on the same page. That's very important, because you don't want to be standing there in a situation where everything doesn't make sense.
Did you see The Hunt recently?
Did I see what?
Did you see The Hunt recently? Did you watch it again?
No, it's been a while since I don't go back and watch films like that. No.
Because it's so strange. This movie takes a new meaning with all the crazy stuff happening now. Do you feel that the time we live in changed the way we see a film, change the way we read a book, and change everything, the perception of a work? For us as an audience, it does, but for you as actors?
Well, obviously, culture will change. Music, literature, and films will change for each period of time it's in. It also reflects the time it's in. But a lot of the stuff that's still around, that was done 50 years ago, is around for a different reason. It's around because they are stories about humanity, something that will always be there, that won't change. It doesn't matter what the whim is this year or how it's changing. The humanity stories will always be around. There's a reason why we still can watch Godfather. There's a reason. And it's not because it was a time. All these characters are exquisitely portrayed and written and directed, and this is what we love about that film.
It's also because it's one of the best movies ever.
That as well.
Okay, James Bond. Is it true?
James Bond.
Yeah, James Bond is not true.
But you said James Bond. That's a French version.
James Bond.
Yeah.
Is it true that I read that somewhere, that you never saw a James Bond movie before doing Casino Royale? You never saw a Star Wars movie before doing Rogue One? Is it true? On what planet do you live?
It is true. I was so happy when I was offered Indiana Jones because I've seen them all. As I said, I was a Bruce Lee, Buster Keaton, Charles Bronson kind of guy. I watched those kind of films. And I don't know, I just never caught that train. I'm super happy that I did it later. I remember actually my brother was waiting outside a movie theater for 2 fucking days to get a ticket for Star Wars. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And then I went down and rented some Bruce Lee films. It's like, but I understand the fascination of both Bond and Star Wars, but I just didn't catch that train. I was watching something else.
Did you see them since?
I have seen them.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Huh?
I have, I promise. Yeah, they're great. It's a fantastic new world that opens up. Yeah.
Casino Royale, the scene at the casino. There is a moment in the card game where you do this, something like it, the movement of the hand. When
I do this with my hand.
A little, something like that.
With the hand.
With the hand, you go to your eye, the bad eye that you have in the film, and it almost touches the skin. I wonder if that was improvised or not.
Listen, this is obviously people who plays poker will know you will never do that. But it's a film where people have to understand that my character has a tell. A tell meaning that either he has good cards or bad cards. Nobody has a tell. You wouldn't survive in the poker world. But they wanted it there. And so I hated it. I was like, but he's the best poker player in the world. He can't put his hand up here when he has good cards. It's just insane. But of course we needed it. But if you look at the hands, they're also insane hands. It's like royal, straight flush, full house. Like, okay, fair enough. But that was a tell we needed for people to understand how smart James Bond was. And I got to tell you, he is smart, and Daniel Craig is a smart guy as well. But everybody played poker on that set except him. He had no fucking clue what it was. I mean, literally, he had no fucking idea. And then I had to lose $150 million to this guy. It's like, man. That's why, obviously, I kicked the shit out of his balls.
Well, what's really funny about this movie is that, of course, it's a James Bond. It's probably one of the best James Bond, and there's explosion and stunts and stuff like that. But what we keep from it, it's your scene with Daniel. I mean, it's acting thing. Is it always the most important? People.
For us, it was fun. I mean, I'd never been on a big film like that, and neither had Daniel. I mean, I definitely felt the pressure of being part of this world. But if I felt it, Daniel must have felt it 1,000 times, right? Because talking about being nervous, there's been quite a few other Bonds. And everybody hated him before he did it. I mean, literally, every day he would walk and see like headlines of like, he's ugly, he's blonde, his nose is too big, you know. And they never gave him a chance, so obviously he was nervous. But we came from smaller projects, smaller films, and we were tackling it a little like that, especially the scene where I talked to him. We had a lot of ideas and a lot of improvisation, and Martin Campbell, really nice, super great director. He was listening and listening for about 10 minutes and looking at us, and he was like, boys, come back. It's a Bond film. So we were somewhere else doing something you could not do in a Bond film. But we did attack it like that. And I was very grateful that it was with Daniel I did this because, for both of us it was a very new experience, and I think it was nice to have a fellow actor who came from smaller projects. Yeah.
The Star Wars, how fun is it to make a movie in front of a green screen all the time?
You would be surprised that it's not that much green screen anymore. I mean, people tend to build enormous sets. And that is obviously something that will make us become little fanboys again. It's just looking at this, and we have to not do that obviously when we shoot the film because it's my house. I can't be looking at my house like that. But there is surprisingly little green screen. It's often when there is a creature, something that's alive that moves. But the big sets, they're just building it. It's just insane.
When you do Casino Royale, I suppose that after that, Hollywood being what it is, you got a lot of proposition of playing a bad guy or unlikable character and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Does that bother you? Or?
No. If that was the only thing I did, that would probably bother me. I'm super lucky that people tend to see me with different eyes from different parts of the world. And correct, in America, when you have a funny accent, you tend to be the bad guy. And so be it. I mean, if I had to choose between that and not doing anything over there, I'll do the bad guy any day. But I've also done a few other American things. I was not the bad guy. And then, as you say, I come home, I work with Susanna or Thomas or anyone, and do the other films. So, no, doesn't bother me. It would be nice if it was a little more open in that sense, but it's Hollywood, it's different. So I can't complain. Listen, 90% of all actors don't work. So I'm not going to complain. Okay.
And again, if it bothered you, you wouldn't have accepted Hannibal.
No, that's true, but he's not a bad guy, though, Hannibal. Do you think?
He's, well...
Oh, I got to read it again.
It's all a question of point of views. If you're the meat or if you're the hunter. The series format, did you like that? The TV series format?
Yeah.
Why?
I did a TV series very early in my career.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
A cop show. That was new to me. I was very nervous for that because I was part of that cool gang who did Pusher and crazy rock and roll films. And then all of a sudden I had to be part of a TV show that you were able to watch when you were 5 years old or 95. That's not the films I was doing. You know, I was doing films that was it was a small fraction that could and wanted to watch it, right? And this was for the entire family. That means, obviously, when you're when the character is angry, he's not super angry, he's just a little angry. When he's bleeding, he's not really bleeding, it's just a little blood. And it's just like, I was so nervous about it. And I was actually struggling a lot with it in the beginning, but then we found a way in there that we found the characters, and I had a great time with my colleagues, but it was obviously not something I was used to. Then, many years later, I did Hannibal, and that was very radical. That was back to very few people watching it. It was radical, and I felt really at home there. The platforms today are taking more chances than they did before. That's for sure.
Well, since we're talking about that, we're in Cannes, and it's a cinema festival. If a series is invited, it's because it's directed by a filmmaker. What's your take on the fight for the cinema in cinema theater?
Yeah, I think we have to ask ourselves one question: are the platforms going to disappear? No. Okay, so then what? So instead of fighting each other, I think we have to find common grounds. What we love about making movies. Are we allowed to say that when it's on a platform? Yeah, making movies. Our common love for that. This will never go away. There will always be this. I mean, obviously, but always. Everybody wants to be on the stadium when your team wins, And it's the same with movies. You want to be in there with other people. But there is also the other opportunity. So I think there's room for both. I think we should inspire each other and not fight each other, because that would just become ugly.
How about the impact of the film? I mean, I have a saying, if a movie is on a platform, fine, great, it's a movie, it's still here and we can see it, but its impact on the culture barely exists. I mean, in the room, I can ask the people for movies that were on the platform and that really touched them. There won't be a lot of answers, but if it's in a movie theater, it's different. The impact on the pop culture, on the person, on everything is really different. I always say that when you watch a movie on platform, you watch with this. When you watch it in a theater, you watch it with this. Yeah. This is a big difference. Do you see that? Do you see this difference about the work itself, the work of art itself?
I don't think the work itself is that different for us as actors. It might be a different process, obviously, for directors, because it's a longer format. Yeah, well, I can only repeat myself. I think that I can watch something on a platform that can touch me very, very much. And I can watch something on the big screen that I think is really terrible. But I can also do it the other way around, I think that it's a thing about crying about the future is always a tricky thing. This form of art is very young. It's about 100 years old, right? And we still want it to be the same. The same as what? The silent movies? Or is it the 60s we want it to be? Or the 90s? Listen, it's moving. People will still... And there will be millions going into movie theaters, and there will be millions watching on platforms. And if we can get some of these people to go over there and back and forth, I think that's what we should aim for.
I'm going to open the floor to questioning in a moment, but one last thing about that is that the good thing about platforms is that it opens the eyes of a new audience on the globality of cinema.
Sure.
I mean, they're watching movies from all over the place. I saw Pusher on the platform in LA and this kind of stuff. How do you think it could change the way the young audience is watching the movie, is approaching the art of cinema itself?
Well, I mean, it's different with films that are standing alone, right? But we all know that people are just watching 20 episodes in a row of something. This is how young people watch stuff. This is how my wife is watching stuff, and there's something about it. But there's also something about, tying your shoes, get on your bike, go and meet your friends, and go into the darkness and watch a film together, right? So, yeah, we'll see where it lands. But I'm absolutely positive. I'm sure there's room for both, and I think they will have a future that is very prosperous.
If we have questions in the room, get ready. We'll have one more before that. Le micro, merci beaucoup. One more before that, before they get ready. Cannes.
Cannes.
Votre vie à Cannes, your life in Cannes, everything.
My life in Cannes.
Is it an important festival for you? How does that matter for you?
Yeah, it's Cannes. There's nothing like Cannes, right? This is. I was here the first time with Nicholas. I think it was '97. and we thought it was winter because we heard there was mountains. So we were dressed for winter. We did not have a screening for our film, so we were standing on the Croisette with the winter clothes and DVDs, passing them out. Then we looked at each other and we were like, we'll be back someday, you know. And so we were. All of a sudden, Nicholas was in the jury. He won a big award. I won an award. I was in the jury. It's a fantastic journey for us, for people who've been here. And it's just the biggest. It's the world championship of filmmaking. And if you're invited in here, you have to go for it. It's fantastic. So yeah, I love it. I'm so happy, so pleased that it's opened up again. And the funny thing about it, there's a lot of party and some drinking. But at the end of the day, this is what's happening. People talking about films, people watching films. And that is what's unique about this festival. There's films everywhere. And so I love Cannes. Yeah.
And Cannes loves you, monsieur, as you will be able to see with this gentleman. I can see.
Hi. Thank you for being here. That's so cool. Here. Hi. You were talking about how you play super villainous characters and then some more empathetic characters. Isn't it easier sometimes to play the villainous, campy characters than to go into the mind of someone who's so sad and depressed as maybe the characters in another round or Writers of Justice? Then 2 more questions, super fast. We all assume we're going to get the 4th season of Hannibal at some point. Do you think this is going to be more in the next 3 to 5 years or more so 10 years down the line? And last question, I bought in Amazon 2 posters for this occasion. Can you please sign them afterwards?
What are they, posters?
Afterwards.
Posters, yeah, posters. I can come to you.
I will definitely sign your posters.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
Hannibal. We've been talking about it for 4 or 5 years now. It's not been able to find a home. I know for a fact everybody who's been part of it wants to take it up again and do it, because it makes sense that 7 years has been spent before we meet these characters again. But where it is right now, I have no idea. It's disastrous, but it's still alive somewhere. Bad guys, good guys, playing the more larger-than-life characters, or playing a lead that is super depressed, kind of. Yeah, I don't know. I think it might look like a very hard journey to, let's say, take a film like The Hunt, where the man is obviously going down a spiral the entire film. As I said before, it's a journey that makes enormous sense. So all I have to do, obviously in quotation, is to lean into that story and try to be as honest as I can with every scene. Sometimes when you play like an over-the-top villain, it can be very difficult because you are serving the film. Let's put it this way. If you're playing like the sidekick to something, you are serving the film. The film is not serving you at all. You are serving the film and the main character and the story. So you have to produce something very precise, which can be very difficult because you only have this much space to do it in. Whereas you're playing the lead, the film is serving you. You can actually allow yourself to invite people into your mind and your heart. Whereas opening the door and coming with the letter, no, just remember your line and get the fuck out. So that can be very difficult. Yeah, it's back to like something that looks difficult might not be as difficult as you think, and vice versa.
Yeah, if I can follow up on that, when you do the bad magician in Doctor Strange, the costume, everything, does that help? Does that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously. Well, the good thing about the crazy costume is that everybody else is wearing it. If you were the only one, it will be like really not uphill. Yeah, but it does. I mean, we are adult people and we're doing wizard things. We can do magic with our hands and stuff. And it does help when everything around you is actually moving and turning. Because if it was only green screen and you were wearing a green tuxedo, you would feel like an idiot. And so it does help. Yeah, it does.
All right. Anybody else? Oh, no, you have quite a question. Gentleman over there.
Hi, Mads. Thank you for being here. My question was, do you have any current or future ambitions to be behind the camera? Is that something you're interested in? Thank you.
I mean, when people get really fed up with this face, I might consider it. I love this business, but I've also been very fortunate with all of my Danish colleagues that the Danish films I've worked on, I have been invited very much meaning into the process. I'm not writing the story, I'm not directing the story, but I'm always being invited in with my ideas, my energy. And sometimes we can change stuff because I have a great idea. Maybe I think that this is too weak. We should make it more radical. So I'm kind of satisfied in that sense. I make the little director in me is kind of being satisfied by that, and maybe that's why my Danish directors are doing it, so they can shut me the fuck up. You know, maybe it is, but I don't crave it at this point. I'm also lucky that I work with fantastic directors, so it's not like, oh, let me do that. You don't know what you're doing. Right? So, not now.
A few years ago, and I have two questions, if it's okay. One is about, I think it's for most actors, but for you, because you change so much in each role, how do you live with your characters? Is there any character that comes back to you somehow? And the second question would be about Drunk, which is a movie that I like very much. Unfortunately, we couldn't see it in Cannes. And if there was any experiment during filming, there's a sense of community between the actors and the characters. And I was interested to know if there was any scene that you filmed under the influence, and if there was something that you as actors did. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start with the last one then. Thomas picked 4 actors who has some knowledge of about drinking. So the funny thing that happens if you get past a certain amount of beers, what happens in the room is that nobody listens anymore. Everybody's just shouting and nobody listens, right? So that's a no-go. You can't do that. I mean, it's just that nobody's listening to the director. Nobody's remembering the lines. It's just chaotic, right? Obviously, you can do that for specific little sequences, but you can't do it in a film in general. So we did a boot camp before we shot the film, where we were actually trying to, see what happens on the exact levels of intake of alcohol, which is the theory in the film. And so we drank 2, and we did a scene, and we filmed it. Drank a couple more, did the same scene, drank a couple more, and then up there, and we measured it. And the scenes didn't get better. So we decided that, okay, we know what this is. Let's just skip the bottle and start acting. So that was the plan for that one.
But you must have had so much fun.
We had great fun, yeah. And funny enough, we have one of the guys who was in the club who plays my very good friend in the film. He is an AA, so he stopped drinking because that was a big issue for him. And we were asking him, like, listen, is this too borderline for you? Is it okay with you? He was like, yeah, fuck off. You just fucking drink. I don't give a shit. And he was just, and he could just switch it on. And he could be as drunk as anyone without drinking. So yeah, we did that, but only as a boot camp. The other one was, do I carry some characters back home? No. I don't. I mean, I take work back home like everybody else who's working. If I was driving the school bus and I had a day that was great, I bring that home. Or if it was a terrible day, I'll bring it home. Same with my work as an actor. I don't bring characters home. I don't force my children to call me a different name. I don't. And for the obvious reason, that's insanity. But don't mix it with, like, I can rehearse and I can research a character as much as anyone, but that has nothing to do with bringing it back home. That's insanity. Once you're there, you do the character, you get into it. You just stay in that zone. I might not spend a lot of time with my colleagues on that day because I want to be in that situation or moment or emotion, but insisting that people call me something else is just, I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's acting. Some actors who do that are fantastic. Some are terrible. So it's nothing to do with that. You know, some actors are just great and some are not. And it doesn't matter which way they do it. They will nail it anyways. So that is, I think it's a journalist myth that we all want to, oh, look at that. He sacrificed so much. He left his kids for 5 years. Great work. I mean, so no, that's not the way to do it. I think there's a woman right here in front of us.
Well, first of all, thank you for your sense of humor, and also because you talked a lot about humanity. And my question is regarding the way you embodied a character. How far do you dig in your inner side to bring up that humanity? And also, do you set up boundaries in that matters? Thank you.
What was the last bit? Did I what?
Do you set up boundaries?
Oh, boundaries, yeah, okay. Yeah, well, a little like we talked about, how deep do you go into a character? Listen, I don't think I will ever be able to answer that question completely, because I think I'm still looking for ways to find a character. There are certain ways I know we can go, but there's also other ways I've not tried. And there's like the classical thing, like some people start putting on the hat, and then the glasses, and then the character arrives, and other people starts from in here, and then the last bit is the hat. I don't care. It works. I tend to read the script, and that's in there the character is, and slowly I try to figure out what kind of energy the character has. And regarding how much you use of yourself, I often say that every person in this room knows every emotion in the world. We all know all emotions in the world. Some of us have a little more of this emotion and a little less of that, but we know what it is. So for me, it's about like, okay, this side of me is very little, but now I have to make it like 90% of this character. You know, this character lies a lot. He's lying constantly, you know. And so we'll have to find it. I know where that is. I lied before. I think that for me, that's up and down, dialing up and down on the volume of these emotions. And there's a lot of other things, obviously, together with the director, finding the characters. But for me, it's recognizing something in myself and then make it bigger or make it smaller or make it only that. In there somewhere, you can create a character that is not what you would think when you see me, but it's in there somewhere. Does that make sense? Okay. Are you sleeping now?
Right here, in the middle. No, you. Just stand up and scream.
Scream. Yes.
That's okay. Matt, if you don't mind, I'm going to repeat the question.
I do. You want to translate it? Or you want to say it out loud?
No, just to repeat for people who didn't hear.
Was there people who could not hear it? Okay, so it's about working in different languages and also feeling at home in America or in Denmark when you shoot. Something like that. I try not to see it as a different thing. The work itself is the same, whether I work back home or I work, let's say, in America. I've never actually worked in America. The American films I've done has always been shot in Czech Republic or something. But yeah, it's a very different scale. As I said, you walk in and there's a set that has the same budget as 10 Danish films, right? It's insane. But then you have to take that for granted, not focus on that. Your work is still this small little situation with your fellow actors and the director. Everything else has got nothing to do with me. So we try to make it intimate and make it real. Doesn't matter if you're fighting a dragon or having a conversation. Having said that, it's not always easy. Obviously, coming home is home because it's my friends, it's my kind of stories, and it's, as you said, my language. So that's a different home. When I was shooting for 3 years, Hannibal, for instance, that was home as well. Even though Hannibal is talking like an insane, and he speaks 1 billion languages, and he plays music and stuff, kills a little. That felt at home as well. I mean, somehow you get past it. This is what you do. This is what you are. You know. I try when it comes to languages. I've done quite a few languages in films. I try to rehearse. First of all, just learn it, get it in there. And it becomes easier and easier the more you can speak the language, of course. Get it in there. Then, when we start filming, that was it. Goodbye, dialogue coach. Goodbye, all of you language idiots. It's off. If something is wrong, I'll fix it later. But I cannot stand on a set trying to make a scene emotionally or dramatically work, and there's constantly somebody running up going, no, it's not is. It's like, thank you, over, gone. But I mean, it's an important part of the whole thing, right? And maybe that's why I'm not playing the good guys in America. It has to be as much a part of you as it can, but you have to let it go. Once you start making the scene, it cannot be part of it anymore. This is just what you are, and this is how much you learned. Because the scene, you have to be dedicated to the situation and not to something exterior. So maybe it's the wrong way to do it. I know actors who can actually, love doing it, and a dialogue coach constantly there. I'm not saying that's wrong at all. It's not for me. I can't do it. For me, it's the drama, and then we'll fix the other thing later.
You lived in Toronto during the making of Hannibal, did you?
Yeah, I was in Toronto for 2 years.
Maybe it's a reason why you lived there, so maybe it's...
Yeah, but also, obviously, it was away from home in every sense of the meaning. But it became family really fast, right? That's what I'm saying. And the language was just part of it then, The more you do it, the better it gets. But then all of a sudden, you have to speak another language, and then it starts over.
Combien de langues tu parles, Mads?
Actually, I speak worse Danish than I speak English.
Mr. Mikkelsen?
Une question. Ah ouais. Hello. Ok, on y va. Quelqu'un qui a un micro, allez-y.
Hello, sorry, I'm a bit nervous. I'm a big fan of yours. Since you've played in big budget movies as well as small budget movies, do you feel that you are more involved creatively or as an actor in either production style, or do you feel there's no difference at all?
Let's put it this way. During James Bond, the director didn't call me in the middle of the night to get some advice. Didn't happen. I am back home. I'm always in contact with my director. That means in the middle of the night as well. Getting ideas, something that had frustrated us, and all of a sudden, I have an idea, or he or she has an idea and calls me. So obviously, I'm involved in a different way back home. But directors on big budget films also have the same interests. They do want to spend the time with us, making the scene work and adjust. Their problem is there's 1,000 people who want to call them in the middle of the night. So they simply don't have, it's not the same intimacy, and it's just the way it is.
You got a question over there.
Yeah, Mr. Mikkelsen, Robert from the Netherlands. I think I'm not the only one in the room looking forward to the new Indiana Jones film. You mentioned it. Is there anything you can tell us about it and your collaboration with Oliver Richters, our Dutch star you're co-starring with?
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
I can tell you everything, but then I'll have to kill you.
All of us?
All of us, yeah. Yeah, unless you do this. But
you have to call your inner Hannibal.
No, we can't talk about it at all. I mean, I can say I thoroughly enjoyed being part of that world. It's a real Indiana James film. It just really Jones. I said James. I said Indiana James. Didn't I? So there's a small change. He's it is back to old school, both in the time, the look, the feel of the whole thing. And if anyone has a question whether Harrison Ford could still do his own stunts, he can. he's fucking out of this world. I've never seen anything like it. So if I could just be half as strong and fit as he is at 80, that would be cool. Yeah.
The lady over there. Yeah. No, you. Yeah. Oh, you got a mic. Voilà, micro.
What do you love the most in being an actor?
The fame and the money. I love. Well, listen. It's a little like Monty Python. I never wanted to do this for a living. I always wanted to be a football player. I just wanted to do sports, any sport. So I think for me it has been a different kind of journey. Everything was just coincidentally. I did gymnastics, then I became a dancer. Coincidence. I've never been in a theater before. Then I became an actor. I love when it works. You know, I love when everybody knows that we have it, we got it. There was something magical happening right there. And then I don't care if the audience hate it, because that moment when we agree, we are usually right. It does not happen all the time. I wish it did. But at the same time, we're chasing that moment constantly. And that, I think, is what's driving us all, everyone who's making films. For that split magical moment, that's it. We told its story. It's there. You can see it. Yeah, I think that's what I love most about it. Yeah.
Talking about important things. You know we love you in France, Matt, but France-Denmark at the World Cup, you don't stand a chance, do you?
Are you kidding? Are you serious right now?
We're playing.
Have you seen our team?
Yeah, we have. You have a
You
good
have
team,
you have an average.
Have you seen?
You
our
have
team?
an average age of 85 years old people. These are strong, young, 22, 21. We'll talk about that later. It's gonna be a bloodbath, man.
Do we have a pizza on this game?
Pizza.
You're on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Questions? Right here. We got a mic right here.
So, hi. I just have a question about the Fantastic Beast. So, firstly, how was the shooting? And were you inspired by the Johnny Depp's character before you, or did you create a new character, a new Grindelwald character? And did you watch a single Harry Potter before playing Grindelwald, like Star Wars, or no?
Voilà. Oui. No. Yeah, did I watch Harry Potter? Yes, I watched Harry Potter because my daughter was a fangirl, and we watched them together, right? So I only watched them once. I loved that universe. And I loved working on the film. David, who was the director on the show, I mean, I love all my directors, but I have never met a sweeter person in my life. It was almost insane. So if I came in, which didn't happen, and I forgot all my lines and I went straight into the wall like that, he would come and say, "I really like it. It's really good." I was like, "But let's try this." It's like, "It's okay, David. You can say it sucks. It's okay." But he was so fucking sweet, and it created an atmosphere where everybody was just feeling really at home, and I felt at home. I mean, I tried to make it my own character. I am a big fan of Johnny Depp, and trying to copy him would be creative suicide. So you need to go somewhere else. That's the only way you can do it.
Is there going to be more?
I don't know. Maybe. There's 5 books, right? And there's 3 films. Let's do the math. Maybe.
Oui, moi.
Le micro est juste devant là. Allons-y.
Non, ok.
Non, c'est bon, il est allumé.
Voilà. Ouais. Ça marche pas. Oui, voilà. Voilà, Matt, puis Didier aussi. Matt, you are so fun even though you look so serious from close. So, my well, I got. So, my question, I would like to know more about your career. So, you are a Danish actor, but then you went international. So, how did you do it? Was there, I don't know. In other words, how about you take me to LA and we were together? No, thank you.
I love to take you to LA.
Oh yeah.
Nobody will look at me then.
Thank you.
Listen, I was starting out. We did, as I said, Pusher was like rock and roll. Here we go. Somebody wants to shoot a film with me, and it was just fantastic. And then I did more films, and then all of a sudden I got a phone call that they wanted me to do. Well, I did one little step before that, but the big one, which was James Bond. So Barbara Broccoli had watched a Danish film, and she loved it, and it was Susanne Bier's film, Open Hearts. And I'm playing a really nice guy who's the father of 3 children, and she thought I could be a great bad guy. I have no idea why she thought that, but so that's how it started. The Danish work did it for me. I didn't seek it. I didn't go there knocking on all the doors. After Bond, I went over there, had some meetings, found an agent, but it was my Danish films that was doing it for me, and I wasn't the only one. There was a lot of things happening for directors, writers, and actors at the same time, because Danish films were on the map. So, if you're asking me how does that work, I would say to all young actors and actresses, work back home. Work. Do all the crazy stuff with your friends or an old director, anything you can do that you love doing. You will be seen eventually. And if it's not turning out, then move. But I mean, as much work you can do back home. This is more than enough. The world's eyes are on each other now. They will see it one day.
Qui a le micro? Là-bas.
Hi, thank you for being here. So my question is, how did you manage to play the Hannibal Lecter character after the great performance of Anthony Hopkins? Did you want it to be different? Did you want to get inspired by him? How did you manage?
Yeah, it's the same situation as we had with the Fantastic Beasts. Those are too big of a pair of shoes to wear. I mean, the man, I think he's the only person who's ever won an Oscar for playing the bad guy. And so, yeah, you can't do it. There's no way I can go and copy what he's doing. But for us, it was also a very different animal. I believe that Anthony Hopkins had 15 minutes of screen time, and I have 13 hours in the first season, right? So for us, it was a slower build. We wanted to start the story at a different spot. It was before he was in jail. It was him making friends, being normal in his Hannibal ways. For us, it was a different kind of thing we were doing altogether, and that made it so much easier. So I watched the films again. I did, but I couldn't copy anything. It was just too good.
Vous pouvez poser vos questions en français, hein, si vous ne parlez pas anglais. Mats comprend parfaitement. Qui a le micro, tout simplement? Personne?
Hello?
Ah, là,
Hi. Thanks so much for coming. I'm such a huge fan of your work. I just wanted to ask about a fantastic project you worked on, which wasn't necessarily cinema, although you could say that it's the future of cinema. It was Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding. And I know a lot of the cast is here, as well as Nicholas, Lea Seydoux, Norman Reedus, they were all here. I wanted to ask, how did you find that compared to acting for film, acting in a VR game experience?
Yeah, we're talking about Hideo Kojima's video game called Death Stranding, and Guillermo del Toro is in it, and Nicholas is in there, Lea is in it. Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, there was a story, there were scenes, and what we didn't realize is that when we didn't exactly feel it was right, or we were wearing a green tight suit, right? And we had a camera here, and we had a lot of makeup dots in the face. We looked like complete fucking idiots, you know.
Is there any photos?
There's a lot of photos, but the good thing that you were not alone. I mean, sometimes you were actually alone doing the scenes. So yeah, that was weird. And then I had a scene with Norman Reedus where we meet, and there's like a friendly hug. We're hugging each other, and the cameras were just banging and tankling, and we were like, Jesus fucking shit. And Hideo was happy, and he wanted to move on. It was like, you can't use this shit. We have to do it again. I was like, no. I'm not just editing. I'm animating this. You know, we never really got used to that. He could do whatever he wanted with us. Didn't matter what you did, he could fix it, right? No, that was a funny experience. I loved it. I mean, he's a genius. I mean, he is. And then I met all these fantastic directors and actors that I wouldn't have met. Yep.
Amazing cast. I thought you were great.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Excuse me? Hello? Here? Yeah. I'm sitting over here. Okay, hey there. So I just wanted to say that my life separates in two parts. The one before I saw Thomas Winterberg's Droog and the one after. And I find it really fascinating. Yeah.
Inspired?
I can't really explain it, put into words. That's what art is for, I guess. But I know it was based on a tragedy, an awful tragedy, and that's how it came to be. And I don't see any actor in the world or any person that could play that role and make it work like it did. I think you had really something special there, in my perspective. So just thank you.
Thank you.
And my friend here has a question.
Oh, there's a question.
So
Everybody has 4 questions, you had 0. I like it.
you know what? I have only one. I originally had a different one, but someone here already asked it. So to the real question, will you have a drink with me and my friends today or tomorrow? Today and tomorrow?
Where?
You can come visit Tel Aviv, but I think Cannes is good enough.
I'll find you in Cannes tonight somewhere. I'll give it a shot.
All right. Question. Where's the mic? Go for it.
Question. I don't know if you can hear me.
Go for it.
Yes, here, over here, other way. Hello, other side. Hello.
Là-bas.
Voilà.
I wanted to ask you a quite tough question, but it's what question do you wanted us to ask, or the interviewer to ask? Something you wanted to share and never got the opportunity to?
Here's a secret. I like talking about the work and stuff, and what I've done and people I've met. The rest I really want to keep secret anyways. I mean, I try as much as I can that people know nothing about me. So probably that would have been like, ask me about me, but no, they can't. I mean, the thing is, if I told something private, and I was, let's say I'm a football player, I say something very private about myself, then tomorrow you will watch him play football and maybe he scores a goal. And you wouldn't change your opinion of what he's doing there. But I am a professional liar. That's my job. So every time you see me up there, you somehow have to think, I am a little like that. He's like that. That's him, right? That's what I do for a living. And the more they know about me, they can go, yeah, well, that's not him. He has 2 dogs, and you know. So secrecy is a very important thing of our job. Not because I want it to be pretentious, but just because it's going to ruin what people see, right? Did I answer your question? Not really. I'm not sure I answered your question. But yeah, so that's a question I didn't want to have. That's what, yeah.
So do you have 2 dogs? No, Next. Allez-y, parlez fort.
Oui. Yeah, Stanislavski, Meister. Yeah, I was in a drama school where it was like they didn't touch too much on the specific techniques. Some teachers might, without telling us. So I'm not a specialist on the techniques, to be honest. I know for sure when I graduated that I thought I had no tools. I had no idea how I should approach any fucking thing. And I looked at my friends, they felt the same. And then it was like, okay, maybe this school is really shit, right? But then I met people all over the world, they feel the same. Every time you get out of school, it's like, Jesus, how do I take the first step? It's about working. You work, you learn, you work, you learn, you look at each other and it's like, you steal from each other, you inspire each other. But working is where you learn. And then doesn't matter what technique you use. Doesn't matter if you use no technique. If you find it, you find it. I have a few tools now. I have an idea, but I'm often in a situation where I'm like, damn, what now? So you look again. And I think that journey will always be there. But the more you work, the more you will get little tools. That's how I feel.
Here? Do you need to know the method?
The tools?
Yeah, does it need to know the tools?
Those are secret tools. No, but they're not secret. It's just things that work for me. Things that would get me in a situation and me in an emotion. Or, they're not. I mean, they're not secret. It's just that you will find them yourself because mine is not going to be yours.
But your advice to the young kids here is it? Do they have to know the method? Do they learn it anyway?
Don't be afraid. Don't be frustrated because everyone feels like that, especially right after school or before a job. But it will come back. I'm just saying, don't be too frustrated. It will always come back. I know actors much older than me, they're still looking for ways, and I think they're wonderful, but they're like, yeah, I can do that better. Perfect. I think that's the journey.
Okay, we have time for 4 more questions. So,
Dear Mads, it's great to have you with us.
I don't know where you are.
Just for curiosity, I'm here on your right. On your right.
Là. Yeah.
Just for curiosity, if you have one director, one actor, one actress, and one kind of character that you would love to act in the future, can you please share it with us? And the second question, what is the movie that you are the most proud about? Please.
You're asking me to say goodbye to all my friends now. I am very proud about a lot of films I've done. Equally. So I'm not going to mention any names. They have either taught me something, or I have moved somewhere because of it, or I just love the film, or I met people on that film. So that can be a lot of reasons why you're proud of a thing. And the same goes with, you want me to pick a director and a film and a story. Yeah, but actually, I've never done anything I'm not proud of. Meaning, I've done things that were not super good, but I'm happy I did them. I'm happy because they're all stepping stones on me finding my way, So, so if I have to choose, let's go. I want to work with Buster Keaton. I didn't insult anyone there. And I want Hitchcock to direct it. And the character, I'm not sure yet. I'll get back to you.
Ok, cette demoiselle a la main levée depuis 17 minutes, donc elle a une question. Allez-y, levez-vous et parlez fort.
Hi.
Thank you. And when we think about Hannibal Lecter's and Anthony Hopkins' performance, we think he's really a monster, he's atrocious, he's really creepy. But when we think about yours, we think he's attractive. And I want And even though he eats people, and he's a creep and he's in love with Will Graham, why do we think he's attractive? Is it something that you try to do, or is it something Brian Fuller tried?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I have to be careful here. Listen, I wanted to watch Anthony Hopkins as well all the time. I wanted him. I mean, I couldn't wait for the next scene with him. I want him back. More. And I think that the well-written bad guys / good guys, they appeal to us, right? I think there's got to be something, 5 minutes after we as human beings invented God, we invented Satan right away. Because we know he's there. And we want to hear his stories. We're curious. It's part of us. There's something in there. Maybe not as much as in Hannibal, but there's something in there that we find curious. And I think that's why people find well-written and well-crafted villains interesting, because It's the other side of the coin, and we all know we are not only that side. I think that's why, but I'm not sure. But yeah, he is quite sexy. You're right.
Okay, 3 more questions. Ici. Par là. Allons-y.
Hello. Thanks for being here. I have just one question, I promise. And my question is, what qualities do you look for in a director? What qualities of a director bring out the best of you as an actor? Thank you.
The only quality I look for in a director is passion. Passion for what they want to tell. Passion for their story. And then the way we communicate, are we agreeing all the time? Doesn't really matter. We'll find a way. But if I can feel the passion, there's a much bigger chance that I will take a big risk because, you know, she's that convinced. I'll go with you on the journey, you know. So passion is, they have to burn for it, you know. It has to be very important for them. The few times I met directors who were like, yeah, fine, I'll look at it tomorrow. I don't know, I don't care. It never ends well for no one. So passion is what I look for. The rest we'll figure it out. There's so many different people in the world. We can't just find people that we agree or have a perfect communication with. That's not our job. We have to do something that is passionate.
Okay. Okay. Là-bas, allez-y.
When Drunk won the Oscar for best international film, the speech from Thomas was very emotional because of different reasons, obviously. What was your reaction when you found out that you won, and were you guys able to like celebrate it in some way, like because of COVID, but also because of what happened? Thank you.
Yeah, I was in London by myself watching it live on some apparatus, and the rest of the crew and the producers and everyone was, I believe they were in Zentropa, which is like the headquarters of where we produced the film, and they were watching it together. And then Thomas and Helena was in LA. So my reaction, I was nervous. I wanted him so badly to win. But it was a fantastic reaction, and we were on the phone right away. And yes, your question about his speech, yeah. There was another guy saying that it was inspired by something tragic, but that's not true. It was inspired by something else, and then a tragic happened, disaster. Great.
Okay, go for it.
Going for it, definitely. What is the most challenging thing physically that you've been asked to do on a set?
I was in a film called Valhalla Rising, where I was not wearing a lot of clothes, and I was a Viking, and it was very cold, and I was fighting every fucking day in mud up to here. That wasn't challenging. That was just fucking insane. But I did it, and so that would be the one. Yep.
But it's a great movie.
C'est ça?
Hello.
Ooh.
Yeah, here.
On your right.
I'm here. On your right. I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Hello. Thank you very much. I wanted to ask you, in a recent interview, you asked actors to be more picky about the roles they were playing for, the parts they accept, big actors. So I was wondering if there's some kind of roles you wouldn't accept. What would you not be able to play, or you don't want to play, actually?
I think there would be quite a few things I wouldn't be able to play. I will give it a shot, but obviously there might be other people who will be better for that. Did I say that people should be more picky? Have I said that, or was it somebody else? I think that being picky is fine, but sometimes you also just have to throw yourself out there and work, and because you love it, and then you learn that you might want to be a little more picky. That's fine. What you would like to see up on that screen, if there's some of it in the story and you really like it, but there's a lot that's not there, you have to be a little stubborn and insist and talk about, look how great this part is, but look, could we inspire a little here? Be creative with it, and do your share of making it even better. Make it the director's dream. Maybe there's something they have overseen, they've forgotten. Right?
Soyez bons, c'est les 2 dernières questions. Alors, à qui? Où est le micro? Eh ben, allons-y. Mademoiselle.
Hi, thank you for being here. Now that we know that you've seen the Star Wars movie and the James Bond movie, is there still a movie, considered a classic, that you haven't seen? And if you tell us, the whole audience will go, wow, he hasn't seen that and he's in Cannes.
There's a lot of films I haven't seen, mostly because I tend to only watch film that I'm in. Which is kind of putting a limit to it. I watched a lot of films when I was younger. It's a little different now because all of a sudden it's a different process. There's work is involved watching now, but I do watch sometimes. I have never watched Citizen Kane.
Wow, the effect is there.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I know everybody loves it. But guys, I'm not the only one, right? It's not a blockbuster, is it?
Okay, a little test.
Is it a blockbuster?
Who has not seen Citizen Kane in the room?
Hey,
No.
Thank you.
That's a movie you have to watch now.
But look, I recognize these people as people who are watching Bruce Lee a lot. Right? You can't have it both ways.
Ok, alors j'espère que vous avez gardé la meilleure pour la fin. Monsieur.
So thank you for being here. I kind of feel like a fanatic of dance and modern jazz, and when I see the final scene of Drunk, I always drop tears and cry. So that's it. And what I want as a dancer, how do you feel about this scene?
As a dancer, I might have wanted to do something different in the sense that I might wanted the guy who's dancing to be a little younger. As an audience, I love the scene. Every single bit of it. I mean, my character is rusty, but he's doing it for other reasons, and I also love it because of the music, and I love it because I started out hating the scene, and then I fell in love with the scene, and so forth. There's a lot of reasons for me that I love it. But on top of that, so we were looking for the music for a while, and different things came up. And then all of a sudden, Helena, who's Thomas's wife, she said, "What about this one?" And I loved it immediately. I recognized it. It's been around for a while. I just loved it. Then it turned out, speaking of a film that's called Drunk, turned out that the lead singer, I knew him because my daughter told me that his name is Emil. I said, "But it's Emil who's singing the song." I said, "Who's that?" Oh, it turned out that when my daughter was a teenager, twice or three times, I picked her up from a party, and also him, who was absolutely out of his mind drunk. and he was super sweet, and at least on 2 occasions, he was carrying a whole box of beers that he wanted to bring back home. And I remember I was like, but how did you get so drunk without drinking one of your beers? So he apparently had some good friends. So that was the lead singer. And so we had a relationship that involved alcohol when he was very young. And then all of a sudden he was playing the title song of the film. That was a really beautiful circle as well, I think.
Talking about circle, we started with a dance scene from Drunk. We're finishing on that. Mads Mikkelsen, merci beaucoup.
Voilà, merci. Merci pour le monde. Merci tout le monde.